Welcome to this edition of Inside Marquette. I am subbing in this week for Sophia Minert, Lance Allan, alongside the head coach of the Marquette Golden Eagles. He is Shaka Smarts. Shaka, thank you for having the faith and trust in me. I know Sophia does a great job with this show, so I appreciate you having me sub in this week.
Big shoes to fill,
Very
but glad to
shoes.
have you.
Absolutely. So, really good week for you guys, and obviously a good stretch for you guys since the last show that we did. Texas, Notre Dame. What is it about Fiserv Forum? What is it about the crowds? What is it about that whole atmosphere that you guys played really well and soaked up that atmosphere?
Yeah, we love it. I mean, there's a long history here of phenomenal fan support, and it feels like, at least in my short time here, this keeps getting better and better. We're really grateful for the way it feels to take the floor and look up in these stands, and you see the students so into it. You see so many alums there. You see, the faithful season ticket holders, and then even some new fans that are coming to watch us. So it gives our guys a real energy boost, and I think it's a reciprocal relationship. Hopefully our guys give the fans energy as well.
So 3 kills, or 3 stops in a row is a kill, 6 stops in a row is a skunk, 9 in a row is something to the effect of a dead skunk. So is 10 in a row like roadkill, Shaka, or what is that to start that Notre Dame?
We don't really have one for 10 in a row just because it's, threes. So,
yeah.
We never really had anything beyond just a kill, 3 in a row. But, we noticed over the summer when we were watching tape that needed to make sure that there was an incentive beyond 3 in a row. These guys are human beings, so you want to have something that you're going after. And so I think the skunk moniker has helped that specific situation in the game. We only had 17 skunks last year, and we are on pace to do better than that. So maybe naming the 6 stops in a row has helped us.
17-0 to start that game, 10 stops in a row, as we already mentioned, and then also 5 shot clock violations. So, you want to praise the guys for how great of a start and how they set the tone right from the start of that game.
The guys were locked in. They did a great job. There was a lot of talk before the game about, the importance of Notre Dame to a lot of our fans. And that's meaningful to our guys. They want to play well for our fans. At the same time, we knew that Notre Dame had a young, talented team. I told the guys they reminded me of us 2 years ago. And so it was important for us to get off to a good start and set a tone to let them know that it wasn't going to be easy coming into Fiserv Forum. It's interesting, the way we play, our offensive possessions tend to be much shorter than our defensive possessions, just because sometimes it's hard for teams to get a shot. And that certainly bore out early in that game with all those shot clock violations.
So since our last taping, Shaka, you beat Southern, you beat Texas, and you had the win against Notre Dame. And sometimes, I've heard this phrase, like sometimes you learn more from some valleys than peaks and things like that. So with the Wisconsin loss, you guys clearly bounced back, and you guys clearly did something different. What is it from that you feel like your team is clicking on all cylinders?
Well, I don't know that we're clicking on all cylinders yet, but we certainly grew from that Wisconsin game. That was, anytime you go on the road and lose, it's humbling. It's humbling to lose anywhere. And I think humility is something that can be very, very powerful as long as you don't waste it and let it go out the window. And so, we sat with that loss for a while. There was certainly some emotions that came out of that. There was some conversation. Our film session was spirited and very, very long. And I think for our guys, anytime there's a game like that, they want to be better. They want to improve. They take a lot of pride. Trust me, nobody cares more about winning and losing than the guys inside our locker room. And so, you never want to lose, but sometimes if you do, you can use it and use the energy, channel the energy in a positive way towards upcoming games and upcoming practices.
Speaking of which, Chase Ross, how about him? Like, he gets that first start against Notre Dame, 8 rebounds, which is a career high, ties a career high with 12 points in the previous game against Texas. What do you see about him that's really coming on this time of the year?
He's a special player. He's a special young man. Believe it or not, when he came here, he didn't know if he was capable of playing at this level. And so he's different than some guys that are maybe overconfident or think that they're the greatest player in the world. For him, it's still a process of learning that, hey, I can be a really, really good player here. Not only do I belong here, but I can be a leader. I can be a terrific player in this league. And when he plays well, our team tends to play well.
Sometimes, I don't think we take Tyler Kolek for granted, but sometimes we don't talk enough about the reigning Big East Player of the Year, and that game that he had where he had a 28-8-6 and he follows it up with a 17-7-7. Is he just starting to feel his groove and find his way, so to speak, at this time of the year?
He's had 2 games this year where he's been as good as anyone in the country, and that was at Illinois and at home against Texas. And then in all of our other games, maybe except one, he's been really, really good. And so to your point, we don't want to take for granted the really, really good. The way he played against Illinois, the way he played against Texas, I don't know if anyone's capable of being at that level every single game. We'll certainly strive for that. But what I loved in the Texas game was his willingness to shoot the ball from outside when they went under our pick and roll actions. And when he's willing to do that, he is a very good shooter, and it makes him such a dangerous player because obviously his passing is something he does as well as anyone in the country.
He did mention that post-game as well, Shaka, like when they go under those pick and roll screens and stuff like that. He is a very smart player to begin with, but that gives you an advantage, correct, when teams do that?
It is huge. It's kind of the last frontier for teams to defend him because there's a lot of different pick and roll coverages you can use. None of the other ones work against him because he's so smart. If you put 2 guys on him with a help defender, he's going to find the open man. And so either switching or going under is kind of the last thing that teams are trying to do. But the guy spends more time downstairs in Caston Gymnasium than anyone that I've ever been around. And he's a phenomenal shooter. Maybe outside of Cam Jones, and those guys would probably argue who's a better shooter. So we want him taking those shots for 2+ years here. He's been such a great playmaker and creator for everyone else, but we want him to balance those 2 things.
I'm a veteran in college basketball now, so I've seen everything under the sun, whether, I play my best, play my worst. I'm just trying to stay even keeled through everything, just trying to help my team win.
Shooting was kind of spotty around you in the first half by your teammates. Was it a conscious decision on your part to become more aggressive shooting the basketball up?
If they're going to leave me open like that, I owe it to my team to shoot. They were going way under the ball screen. I was wide open.
Did you guys think at all about how this was, Shaka's former team?
I certainly did. We had meetings with Coach. It was something that I brought up to him. I asked him about his feelings going into the game. He's like, I don't really care. I coached there. A lot of the other guys on staff have coached there, but I don't really care, And I was like, bullshit. I know you care. And after the game, I grabbed him. I said, "This one's for you." I know how much it meant to him. He's never really spoke anything negative about Texas or anything like that, but I know deep down it really meant something to him. So I try to go out there for him.
Shaka Smart's interview is presented by Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank, the official banking partner of Marquette University.
Golden Eagles fans, open a Marquette checking account with Wintrust Wisconsin's bank today and score golden perks like a $50 opening bonus, free ATMs nationwide, and your very own exclusive MU Golden Eagles debit card. Rep the blue and gold at home or on the road. And don't miss this golden opportunity to let everyone know. Scan now to open your account today. Wintrust Wisconsin's bank, proud to be the official bank of Marquette University.
After a serious injury, you'll need an experienced team on your side. Call Gruber Law Offices today. Proud partner of Marquette Athletics. One call, that's all.
We live for the moments that move us. The big ones, the small ones, the ones that light up our hearts. At Aurora Healthcare, our heart and vascular team is trusted to make more moments possible. With breakthrough treatments only found here and the region's top-ranked heart program, we're the first choice of referring physicians and patients. Enjoy more moments that move you with Wisconsin's #1 heart care.
Back here on Inside Marquette with head coach Shaka Smart. And Shaka, speaking of that Texas game, 1977, the only other time that Marquette played the Longhorns in the Marquette Classic, the Milwaukee Classic back then, 45 years ago. So, and you heard the comments just a moment ago of what Tyler Kolek said. What does that mean to you as a coach? Like, you played it off as like, hey, you know, no, this is just a game, whatever, and what he said and what he means to you and you mean to him.
Well, I really appreciate it. We talk about how relationships are our core value, our number one core value, and it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing for guys to demonstrate their genuine care and concern, most often for each other, but in this case, you know, for their coaches. And, you know, it really was for me, particularly coming off of the Wisconsin game, a game where my whole focus was, hey guys, let's get back to playing our best and our way. And it just so happened the opponent was a place where I used to work. But, you know, everyone around me and around our program understood that, you know, not only myself, but Neil Berry, Cody Hatt, Nevada Smith, a couple of our other guys were at Texas for quite some time and coached a guy on their current roster. And I think there was some pride there on the part of our guys to want to play well and win.
That's certainly mushroomed into the Notre Dame game, and just looking at the stats, and sometimes stats can fool you, but I think the stats spoke volumes in that Notre Dame game, Shaka. Points off turnovers, 30-14. Points in the paint, 42-18. Fast break points, 26-7. What was it about that game that guys were just getting after it and then getting down the floor?
Well, I think our guys are playing with aggressiveness. You know, we talk a lot about playing with approach goals, which is going after something, as opposed to playing with avoidance goals, which is trying to keep something bad from happening. And we could do a whole show on that because it's a fascinating topic and you can't necessarily avoid an avoidance goal. Sometimes when you feel it, you've got to replace it with something else. And again, going back to Wisconsin, I thought we played with too much avoidance, not to make mistakes or not to miss. And so I think the Texas game and then going into the Notre Dame game, and our fans have a lot to do with this. There's a real synergy there. It was, hey, let's go after this. Let's be the aggressors. Let's make sure that, if anything, we put them on their heels instead of the opposite.
Oso Ighodaro, speaking of which, was almost perfect. I think he went 6 of 8 from the floor against Notre Dame. Shot a 3 as well, trying to extend his range. And I see that smile on your face. You like that?
Well, you know, there's a lot behind that. He's worked a ton on his shooting. I mean, a ton. He's in there. Not as much as Tyler and Kolek working on three-point shooting because Oso works on a lot of other things in there. But he's pretty diligent about every day, you know, having a plan to get shots up. But he's got such a great bread and butter to his game. My emphasis to him is, hey, never take away from that. But if you're open and the timing is right and it makes sense, go ahead and let it fly. My only thing with that shot was he caught it and he hesitated for a minute. So I would have liked to have him shoot the ball in rhythm. But, you know, listen, he does so much for our team, and he was shooting the ball extremely well from the foul line, 8 for 8 in the Notre Dame game. So it was a good time for him to try to shoot a 3. And I got a feeling now that he shot 1, he may shoot another one.
That's great. And we also talked about how Chase Ross played really well, but it just seemed like Oso grabbed that game by the throat. I mean, he immediately took control of that game off. Is that the aggressiveness you like to see from him?
It is. You know, we recognized early in the game, because of their youth, that we had a real mismatch at that position, quickness-wise and just aggressiveness, toughness. And Oso is always such a facilitator for the other guys, but our emphasis to him was, hey man, you can score on these guys. It's not a good matchup for them, and so we really want you to attack.
There's a lot of good teams in college basketball, not a lot of great teams. How is the process going for you, in your opinion, going from good to great?
It's ongoing. I thought it was a process that our guys learned a lot from last year. We certainly didn't start the year last year as a great team. But at the end of last season, before losing to Michigan State, we won 10 games in a row in late February and March. And so that is a mark of a great team at that point. Now, obviously, what you want to do is you want to continue to build on that and play later into March and even into April. But this year's team has to go through a similar process. We've got one more non-conference game, and then we jump into Big East play. That will be a gauntlet, as always. It's going to be, you know, as competitive as ever. There's some teams at the top of the league that are truly among the nation's elite. That will be challenging. We'll learn a lot from it, but I think through those lessons we can become even greater than we were last year.
Inside Marquette Basketball is brought to you by Aurora Healthcare, helping you to live fully.
We live for the moments that move us. The big ones, the small ones, the ones that light up our hearts. At Aurora Healthcare, our heart and vascular team is trusted to make more moments possible. With breakthrough treatments only found here and the region's top-ranked heart program, we're the first choice of referring physicians and patients. Enjoy more moments that move you with Wisconsin's #1 heart care.
There are many software, cloud, and technology providers, but there's only one who brings it all together to move business forward. Software One. Because no one else can act on software and cloud intelligence like we do. End to end, side by side, building better outcomes. All in one. Software One.
Inside Marquette Basketball with head coach Shaka Smart. And Shaka, student athletes. It is a true term around here, balancing basketball and academics. We're in the middle of finals week as we tape this. What challenge is that for you as a coach? What challenge is that for the players?
Well, I think the biggest challenge for me is making sure that I remember what it was like to be in exam week, because as a coach, we're, smack dab in the middle of our season. So it's, hey, let's practice, let's get better, let's get in the weight room, let's get in the film room. But we also have to understand that there's a higher level of demand academically this week than there ever is throughout the year. And one thing I've learned over the years is the body doesn't really differentiate different types of stress. So if you're feeling more stress on the academic side, then we've got to make sure that we account for that on the basketball side. And we've got several guys on our team that they approach school and trying to be the best they can be in school just as seriously as they approach trying to be their absolute best on the court.
So I got to follow up on this one. Listening to the radio broadcast, I think you told Homer 90% of the time you have a gut feeling if your team is going to win or lose, or you just have that clairvoyant nature about you. And I've always been impressed, Shaka, at how you can see things almost like a chess match ahead of time. What goes into that? How do you just have that feeling?
It's actually it's a gift and a curse. Because when you feel the wrong way, then you try to counteract it and change it and maybe affect other people. But I think just paying attention. There's so many signs around us, and when you're part of a team, that kind of tell you where things are and where things may be over the course of the next several hours.
Having a pulse on things?
Yeah, having
feeling
a
the
pulse
so
on
to speak.
things. But then at the same time, it's important to have an openness that when you take the floor, number one, there's a lot more outside of your control as a coach or even as a player than you might think. And then number two, there's a lot of different things that can happen, particularly when you have two really good teams playing against each other. The ball could bounce one way on this play, the ball could bounce another way, the officials could call it a certain way. And so I think having an openness to the fact that the game is not decided yet and the outcome is still up in the air, but then also trying to press the advantages that you have to be your best.
We talked about Chase Ross, we talked about Tyler Kolek, we talked about Oso. A couple of guys that probably need some love and some recognition as well are your freshmen. I mean, Trey Norman, Zay Lowry, they're mixing in there, and what do you see out of them to give them more playing time?
Those guys are going to be good players for us. Those guys are very gifted as young guys, but they are still figuring out the speed of the game at this level. They're still figuring out the defensive end. It's a shock. I mean, we do a whole program throughout their senior years that we call signee indoctrination, trying to help them understand what it's going to be like when you get here. And I think it helps. I really do. But then they get here and they get the real indoctrination. And so those guys, in addition to Al Amadou and Caden Hamilton, those guys are our young foundation. We're excited about them. They work. They're in here getting better every day. They happen to be on a team with some guys that are much more experienced than them. So they're a little bit behind those guys in terms of seasoning, but they'll get there.
With freshmen, I know you want them to get up to speed quicker rather than later, but is it a process? Is it some are instantly there, kind of like what you mentioned, and others it takes a little time?
Yes, and it's more of an art than a science. You don't know for sure, even during the recruiting process, who is going to hit the ground running and who's going to need more time. Again, as I mentioned, a lot of it starts on the defensive end. You've got to be able to guard at least one of those 5 guys. Otherwise, we can't really put you in the game. And then the way that we defend, with a lot of switching, you need to be able to guard even more than one. And so as a freshman, sometimes that's something that's a little bit later to come around, as opposed to some of the things on the offensive end that maybe got them recruited.
Inside Marquette Basketball is presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
After a serious injury, you'll need an experienced team on your side. Call Gruber Law Offices today, a proud partner of Marquette Athletics. One call, that's all.
Golden Eagles fans, open a Marquette checking account and score perks like a $50 opening bonus, free ATMs nationwide, and your very own Golden Eagles debit card. Rep the blue and gold everywhere. Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank, the official bank of Marquette University.
We live for the moments that move us. The big ones, the small ones, the ones that light up our hearts. At Aurora Healthcare, our heart and vascular team is trusted to make more moments possible. With breakthrough treatments only found here and the region's top-ranked heart program, we're the first choice of referring physicians and patients. Enjoy more moments that move you with Wisconsin's #1 heart care.
Inside Marquette Basketball is presented by Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank, the official banking partner of Marquette University. Aurora Healthcare, helping you to live fully. And by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
From our family to yours, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, Marquette fans.
Merry Christmas, Marquette fans.
Happy holidays from Marquette Basketball.
We want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
On behalf of all of Marquette Basketball, we're wishing you a happy holidays.
Inside Marquette Basketball with the head coach, Shaka Smart. And Shaka, it's great to see the guys having fun. Christmas time, that's what it's all about, right? Like, you got to have enjoyment and fun. It is the Christmas season, it's the holiday season, but you got to enjoy the journey along the way, correct?
Absolutely, and I think it also kind of gives you a little bit of levity to remember that there are other things going on in the world besides a basketball game that we have coming up. When we were able to do the Shopping with the Golden Eagles event, the guys really dove right into it. It was awesome, seeing them, forming bonds with these young kids that came over from St. Catherine's, and being able to buy some gifts, for their families, for themselves, and for our program and our guys to be around these kids as they made those choices at Kohl's. That was a lot of fun.
What's enjoyable to me, and I should say, warms my heart, Shaka, is just they have genuine connections with these kids from the school, and you see genuine joy, smiles. This is a very enjoyable event, Shopping with the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Fortunately, we partner with St. Catherine's throughout the year, so we'll go over there to the school, do different events, but this is definitely the cornerstone event, this Shopping with the Golden Eagles. It's something that ever since I was an assistant coach at Clemson, we did this event, and I've taken it with me everywhere I've been as a head coach because, again, it's a win-win, and it's a real way to get the guys engaged in the holidays beyond just our program.
Just another great emphasis and another great reason to show Marquette is involved in the community, correct? That's what is part of your fiber.
Well, here we are. We're smack dab in the middle of Milwaukee. I mean, we're not out in the suburbs. We're not 45 minutes from Milwaukee. We're right here. And I think with that comes a responsibility. It also comes an opportunity to be a team that is included in the community, reaches out to the community, cares about the community, and the community cares about us.
Final thing is, what are the holidays like for Shaka Smart at your house, and what are the holidays like for the guys? What do you do for them special?
Well, the holidays are a special time for a few reasons. Number one, As soon as the guys get done with their final exams and final projects, it commences, in my opinion, the best time of year to be a college basketball player. There's about a month stretch where you got no class, you got no academic obligations, and it's all basketball. Now, there is a little break that they have to go home and see their families, which is much needed. They've been here basically since the start of the semester without being able to go home and see mom and dad. So to get a chance to do that is very, very important. Before they do that, we obviously have some big games coming up between now and then. We will also have our annual holiday party at my house where we've got some traditions. The guys, we do a Secret Santa amongst our players, and they give each other gag gifts, and it's hilarious. Just seeing the different gifts that they come up with, and some of them are, a lot of fun, and everyone's around watching, so it's pretty cool. I get each of the guys a book, and that's funny as well because a lot of the guys look at me like, really, you're getting me a book? This is my break from school. But, I get every guy a different book each year. And so some of the guys that have, it's our third year now here, it's pretty cool. They've read their book, and sometimes they even ask for more. I'd love to have another book. Last year, for a few months there, we had a little book club going with a few guys. Because, again, they do have some extra time over this break. And then a little precursor maybe to future shows. This year at our holiday party, we're going to do a little Christmas karaoke. So that's going to be fun, and maybe we'll even get some footage that we can share.
Got any odds-on favorites on who might win the competition?
Well, the best singer by far in our program is David Joplin. I mean, he's he's a guy that could go on one of those singing shows and hold his own. Then we've got a lot of guys that are wannabe singers or think that they're good singers or sing in the shower type of guys. Nice. So we'll see if we can get them to, open up in front of everybody and have some fun.
Shaka, thanks for the time. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, Inside Marquette Basketball with head coach Shaka Smart. Thanks for watching.
This has been a presentation from Learfield,